Now the latest from ITV News Central in the Midlands.
Hello, welcome to ITV News Central. On the programme tonight, a woman from Coventry drives to the Ukrainian-Polish border to bring her family home to safety.
I can hug them, I can be with them, and I'm really very sad for other people which would not able to take their parents now.
A 12-year-old saxophonist who died at the Tamworth Snowdome is remembered in a special concert.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was really good. It was like a really nice tribute to Louis.
We'll have all the weekend's goals, including a historic win for West Bromwich Albion women.
Back in the passenger seat after over 80 years, we meet the man reunited with his childhood car after spotting it on a TV advert.
And it looks as though the next few days aren't too bad, but there are a couple of anomalies in our weather, so join me later to find out what they are.
Good evening. A woman from Coventry has driven to the Ukrainian-Polish border to bring her parents to safety to the UK after they fled their home in Kiev. But they're stuck in Poland because of delays in processing their visas.
Yulia Pula's parents are both disabled and they heard the bombing as the Russian forces advanced. Mark Goff spoke to them this morning.
A hug for Mum from Yulia Pula. Her parents Svetlana and Valery are now safe. They lived on the outskirts of Kiev, but their peaceful lives were shattered along with millions of other Ukrainians. They managed to get a train to Lviv along with thousands of others and then on to Poland. Julia drove with her husband and son Austin from their home in Coventry to collect them. This morning I asked her parents what they'd fled in Kiev.
Зараз уже і промислового, а зараз уже і цивільного населення.
So they said that they constantly hearing the noise and the sirens. The sirens is, just like constantly saying that you need to hide somewhere, and they hearing the military planes.
Her parents sent their visa applications almost 2 weeks ago, but they're still waiting for a final decision. The Home Office told us today that it's been working at pace to launch the Ukraine Family Scheme, and it added, as well as immediate family members, British nationals and people of any nationality settled in the UK will be supported to bring parents, grandparents, grandchildren, adult children and siblings to the UK. But there's a further worry for Yulia because her grandmother is still in Ukraine. She hopes to bring her out if it's safe to do so. But for now, Yulia's happy that her parents are safe in Poland.
How do you feel now sitting next to Mum and Dad?
Yeah, I'm feeling very good about this because I can hug them, I can be with them, and I'm really very sad for other people which would not able to take their parents now. So I'm praying for them. We are all praying that everything is settled and the war is finished.
Late this afternoon, the Home Office phoned Yulia in Poland. She, Svetlana and Valery hope for a positive decision soon. Mark Goff, ITV News.
Well, meanwhile, a light haulage company in Worcestershire is preparing to transport donations to help Ukrainian refugees on the Polish border. Lewis Light Haulage and Storage, based in Stourport, will be dispatching 2 vans packed with food, clothes and medical supplies this Friday. The company's owner, Noel Lewis, said he's been left heartbroken by the scenes in Ukraine.
I'm in a position with my business where I could spare a couple of vans for a weekend to take down and get there, just make an action. It's to be proactive. I'm humbled by the reaction. The lads have volunteered to help out. We've had it inundated with calls and messages of goodwill. The people that have been donating, it's been fantastic. It's just, you get to really see the steel of people in these situations. It's about a 24-hour journey. It's going to take us 2 days. when we get there, we don't know what we're going to find, but we've got a point of reference to meet, and hopefully with these 2 vans we're going to do on this journey, it'll set the standard for what we're going to do for the next journeys, because we do plan to keep this going.
A woman has been arrested on suspicion of child neglect after a baby girl died at home in Birmingham. The 2-month-old was found in a critical condition at a house in Aintree Grove in Shard End in the early hours of Wednesday morning. Advanced life support was given, but nothing could be done to save her life. A 37-year-old woman was arrested and released on police bail as investigations continue.
A second man has appeared at Wolverhampton Magistrates Court today, charged with murder after a man was shot dead in Stourbridge. 36-year-old John Jones died at the scene in Caslon Crescent just after 7:30 in the evening on Friday the 25th of February. Another 26-year-old man was injured but has since been discharged from hospital. Ravi Talware, who's 31, was arrested at an address in Birmingham over the weekend and will appear at Wolverhampton Crown Court tomorrow.
The food delivery company Just Eat says it's investigating after one of its cyclists was filmed travelling on the M6 near Birmingham. The individual on the push bike was captured via a dash cam yesterday afternoon. The company says it expects all its delivery staff to act responsibly.
The newly elected MP for Birmingham Erdington has taken her seat in the House of Commons. Paulette Hamilton becomes the first black MP to represent the city. She was sworn in today following her by-election victory last week. The election was called after the sudden death of her predecessor, Jack Dromey, whose wife Harriet Harman was among a group of Labour MPs welcoming Paulette in Westminster Hall. It also included party leader Sir Keir Starmer.
Paulette has already done so much for working people in the NHS, where she worked for many years, as a councillor for many, many years, and now in the proud position of representing her constituents of Erdington here in this place, bringing their arguments, bringing their voice here. And it's really, really fantastic to see.
Friends and family of a 12-year-old boy who died in a collision at the Tamworth Snowdome gathered at Symphony Hall in Birmingham over the weekend for a jazz concert in his memory.
5 months on from Louis Watkins' death, his parents, who are campaigning for all children to wear helmets when doing snow activities, said it felt the right time to celebrate their son, who they described as a natural on the saxophone. Lucy Capassi reports.
Every morning I'm moaning, I'm alone and crying the blues.
Some of Louis Watkins' favourite tunes, performed in his memory by those who taught him at the Jazzlines Summer School last year, shortly before he died. His family and friends packed the Jennifer Blackwell performance space at Symphony Hall to remember the 12-year-old who loved all sorts of music. He'd reached grade 5 on the saxophone, played in 2 ensembles, and was a regular here.
I had a little bit to do with the first half of the music because they were favourite songs of Louis and I that we'd sometimes play together. So it's quite nice, well, very nice hearing them, although it'd be a tad emotional because some of them were put to lyrics and I never knew they could be. So that adds more kind of emotion to it. Ever since he picked up the sax, he had a certain aptitude for it because when he asked me, I want to play the saxophone, I said, are you sure? Not something like the piano, because with the saxophone you can't just blow it, you need an embouchure, I think they call it. But he had a trial go in a shop and I was like, wow, he's pretty good.
Louis died in a collision at a birthday party at the Tamworth Snowdome last September. An inquiry into his death is ongoing. His mum Natalie said having the concert to look forward to had helped the family.
I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I just really enjoyed the last 2 hours remembering Louis and just watching, as Chris said, the talented musicians that they are and that Louis would have been part of. I think it's I've had a great time. It's bittersweet, but yeah, really, really enjoyed it. It felt around about now was the right time to be able to celebrate him and bring family and friends together with the 2 charities, to pause on the grief and the investigation and all of that, to actually just celebrate, spend some time celebrating. So I think for me it's been the right time and it's been something to very much look forward to.
The second set was performed by the Birmingham School's jazz ensemble, of which Louis was a part. A large group from Louis' school, Plantsbrook in Sutton Coldfield, were in the audience to enjoy the music and remember their good friend.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was really good. It was like a really nice tribute to Louis. I think he was really intelligent and he always I always wanted to be as smart as him and stuff. I kind of looked up to him in a way.
I thought he was very witty. It was funny. He could make anything funny.
Yeah, I really miss him and he was a great friend.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's spreading the word as well. And hopefully a lot of people get to know about how he passed as well.
The youngsters have raised more than £4,000 at school, which will be split between the two charities involved in the concert. A fitting musical tribute to a talented young man who's so very much missed. Lucy Capassi, ITV News.
Well, as Lucy said, he clearly was very talented, and a nice way to remember him at least.
Absolutely, and it's great that the money's going to charity as well. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Now you're watching ITV News Central. Still to come on the programme, we'll have the weekend's football roundup, including 4 goals at Villa Park.
The man who sits in his childhood car more than 80 years after first getting in it.
And after a chilly start this morning, we're expecting more frost tonight. Will that continue as we head towards the rest of the week? Join me later and I'll let you know.
Now, of course, the ITV Evening News is coming up after us, but from tonight, it's not quite as you've seen it before.
That's right. It will now run for an hour each and every weeknight. Here's Mary Nightingale with the details.
This is the ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale.
Good evening, Miss. The ITV Evening News has been a constant presence on our TV screens for more than 2 decades, broadcasting live into millions of homes every day.
3, 2, Staying on 1.
Now we're getting even bigger. We've expanded our teams across the UK.
It's a busy and bustling red carpet.
The winds have been really picking up here since that amber warning came into place.
Today has been nothing short of a disaster for the DUP. There'll be more of the investigative journalism we do best.
This is all mould.
This is all mould.
His fictional party was a business meeting. And our correspondents will be live across the country and around the world. We'll have more of the stories that make you smile.
Was that a good surprise? Yeah. I can stay here now.
And we're bringing the national weather into the programme too, both in the studio and out on location.
Inside those doors is a huge studio, which I'm still trying to get to grips with. I can't wait to show it off.
Thank you very much indeed for that. So that's what's coming up, and it all starts tonight here on ITV. We'll see you there.
Well, we just heard there from Mary Nightingale, and earlier we spoke to her as she was preparing for the new programme.
Yes, we asked her some of the questions you might have as well, such as what viewers can expect from the new format, including more weather coverage, and who we might see popping up on the show. And it includes a face or two familiar to our viewers here at ITV Central. She began by telling us just how big a moment this is for ITV News.
It's lovely to be on the programme. Thank you for having me. I think it is a really big moment for ITV News, actually. They've made the biggest investment in new news jobs for 20 years, and they've really bolstered their teams around the country in the different regions. They've given us an extra half hour, so we're going to be running to an hour. That's 90 minutes together with the local news, you know, your programme straight before us. So I think it's a huge opportunity and it's exciting. It really is. I get very nervous when people say it's going to be different, because I think what we've been doing seems to have been pretty well received by our viewers. We've been getting more people watching for the last 6 years. We've got about 3.5, 4 million every night. So I think we don't want to change it. We just want to make it more and better. And to that end, we are going to be doing more original journalism, very much calling on the huge talents around the country in the different regions. And we are going to be able to do greater depth on some of those stories, and it's an opportunity. You know, there is no shortage of news at the moment. Sadly, a lot of it pretty depressing at the moment. When you make a news programme, you always have to compromise. You always have to leave things out that you would really like to include. Now we will have the luxury of having more time to make the best programme that viewers will want to see. And that does feel like a real opportunity and a very timely one, I think. And we've been bolstering our teams in the regions. We've taken a few of your lot. Yasmin Bottleby has joined us. I think she was at Central until quite recently. She's now going to be working in the north of England. But we want to collaborate. So the big stories that have been playing very big in the regions, we want to actually bring those into the network and actually work with your teams to cover those in a more local way. You know, we don't want to be London-centric. We're very, very aware at ITV News that our heartland is in the Midlands and the north of England in particular, and we want to serve that audience the best way we possibly can. We are bringing on board Alex Beresford, who your viewers may be familiar with from GMB. Well, we've stolen him as well. We're on a stealing spree, and he's going to be in the studio with me towards the end of every programme and covering those big stories, the big climate stories, the weather stories that are so important. And during the summer months, weather permitting, of course, he's going to be out and around the country. So if you keep your eyes peeled, you might see Alex in your region as well.
Now, before we head into the new news hour, it is time to take a look at the weekend sport from here in Central.
Small businesses and local teams, the heart of our communities. eBay sponsors ITV Regional Sport Reports.
So, Villa won, Leicester won, Birmingham won, West Brom won, Derby won. Not bad from the top two divisions. It wasn't perfect as Wolves and Coventry lost. But let's start with Aston Villa's biggest Premier League victory since 2020. Pablo Taylor has the action.
He was Aston Villa's star signing when he arrived in January, and at home to Southampton, this was the Philippe Coutinho show. A neat pass by the Barcelona loanee saw Danny Ings and Ollie Watkins link up before the latter turned and fired his side ahead in the 9th minute. The second came just before half-time as Callum Chambers' pass cleared the Saints' defence before Coutinho cushioned the ball to Douglas Luiz, who tapped in his first league goal in over 2 years. Then, early in the second half, Coutinho scored the goal his performance deserved, shooting through a crowd of players to make it 3-0. And just 2 minutes later, Villa's biggest Premier League win since beating Liverpool 7-2 in 2020 was wrapped up by Ings, 4-0. It took just the one goal for Leicester to beat Leeds United, Harvey Barnes doing the damage and keeping the Foxes a place behind Villa in 12th, with both clubs on 33 points. Wolves are in 8th despite a third successive Premier League defeat, this one to Crystal Palace. Jean-Philippe Mateta with the first of the visitors' 2 goals. In the Championship, Steve Bruce finally enjoyed a win as boss of West Bromwich Albion. Carlan Grant opened the scoring in the 17th minute, and he'd get the second too when, in the second half, Taylor Gardner-Hickman was brought down by Jacob Greaves and penalty given. Grant's finish saw the Baggies win for the first time in 8 games. Stoke lost, but Birmingham took just 2 minutes to take the lead at Bristol City. This was the Manchester United loanee Taith Chong's first goal in English football. Blues then doubled their advantage 11 minutes later, Nico Gordon scoring on his first Championship appearance of the season. The hosts pulled one back through Alex Scott in the second half, but Birmingham held on for their first away win in 11 games. 2 teams in a battle for survival. Fair then to call this a 6-pointer, and it was Derby who came out on top at home to Barnsley. Ravel Morrison with a goal in each half. The Rams, who were deducted 21 points earlier in the season, are now just 5 from safety. And a first defeat in 4 games dented Coventry City's playoff hopes. By the time Gustavo Hamer scored for the Sky Blues, Swansea had already got 3.
So let's see what you had to say, shall we? On my Facebook page, Franklin Thompson wrote, Villa were on another level, an absolute joy to watch. What a signing Coutinho has been.
Tim Ball clearly agreed with that, and he added, it was great to be at Villa Park to see a true legend in Phil Coutinho.
Tracy Park, she was happy too. Over the moon to see West Brom back to winning ways. Let's hope it's the start of a return to form.
Julie Langford said, a great win for the Blues. We always seem to win at Bristol. I was happy with all 3 points.
But a word on Wolves from Andy Midgley. He says, could you do a piece on the news regarding the 11 imposters at Molineux this weekend pretending to be footballers? Joke of a performance that was. Andy, thank you very much indeed, and thank you everybody who got in touch.
Strong words from Andy there. Now, in League One, there was a goalless draw for Shrewsbury and defeat for Burton. But Cheltenham put 4 past Doncaster. Alfie May with 2 of those. The first, after 16 minutes, was a fine free kick. His second came in the second half and was his 10th goal in 7 games. The win moves them up to 14th.
In League Two, Port Vale lost at Colchester, but Walsall picked up a point at Barrow. Donovan Daniels scored his first goal for the Saddlers as they came from behind to draw 1-1, and it moved them 9 points clear of danger.
In the Women's Super League, all our sides lost, but West Bromwich Albion women, who we featured on Friday, won their first ever game to be played at the Hawthorn Stadium. Playing in the 3rd tier of the women's game, they beat second-place Derby 2-0, the second of their goals coming from the very woman we featured on Friday, Evie Gallup. Well done to her, the rest of the team and their fans, who made a bit of club history.
Athletics and Britain's Olympic bronze medal pole vaulter Holly Bradshaw is the first athlete confirmed for this year's Birmingham Diamond League event. After making the medals podium at last year's Olympic Games in Tokyo, Holly admits she considered retiring from the sport, but says the prospect of competing in Birmingham in May and then again in July at the Commonwealth Games was too good an opportunity to resist.
It's just really exciting that it's going to be in the brand new stadium. I mean, we've all seen pictures on social media and everyone's getting super excited. I've not been to visit it myself, but I think, yeah, it's looking pretty special. And the fact that my first competition of the outdoor season will be there is, you know, super, super exciting.
An 88-year-old man has been reunited with his childhood family car decades after it was sold in Birmingham.
Brian Francis spotted the 1930s Vauxhall Cadet on a television advert. He then wrote to the company behind the ad, resulting in the reunion. Danny Crawshaw was there too.
The first time Brian was a passenger in this car was when he was just 2 years old. Now, more than 80 years on, he's a passenger once more, driven by current owner Roy.
I expect you are familiar with that lovely whine of the gearbox. Oh yeah.
The car was in Brian's family until the 1960s, owned by his grandfather.
And I used to sit there in the passenger seat on my father's knee, waving at the AA drivers. My grandmother sat there, always there, like the Queen, very regal.
And he hadn't seen it since the 60s until he was watching TV.
I was absolutely, I think the term is gobsmacked these days. I was watching the Paralympics and this advert came on and I was aware of a vintage car. But the thing that struck me was the number plate. And I thought, it can't be. And then the advert went. And of course I sat there and hoping that it would sort of reappear, and again it came. And there it was, in all its glory. It was admired by many, many, many people. People looked up and thought, oh, that's a nice car.
So he wrote to the company behind the ad, and it decided to reunite Brian with his old family car.
I never dreamt that the end result would be I'm sitting here in 2022, having sat here when I was 2 years old. It's uncanny.
When we read the letter and we saw about the history of the car in Brian's family, about how much it actually meant to not just him but his wider family as well, we felt as though we needed to bring him and the car back together. we needed to let them see it, sit in it, and hopefully evoke some of their memories again.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Oh, it was an absolute pleasure. That really, really was. It is lovely to be able to share memories with people.
It is. I never dreamt that this moment would ever happen, and I'm rather sort of. It's emotional.
Danny Crawshaw, ITV News.
It was emotional just watching it. They didn't have seatbelts on. I should point out that it's because the car was made before 1966. You don't necessarily need them, but at least they look like they were driving nice and slowly.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Safety first.
Yeah. Now, it got us talking about the cars that we had when we were growing up, because, times have moved on. Now, I've got two to show you. The first one, and my mother would tell you, was rubbish. It was a Lada. She hated it. We had it from new, and she crashed it twice, I think, maybe once. Don't tell her insurers. We had that for about 5 years. Anyway, then we went up market. Really, this was considerable leap up market. The Ford Sierra. Me on the left, my brother Pete in the middle, my dad, who's sadly not here anymore, Bill, and he loved cars as well. So, yeah, we did like that one.
I actually have one to show as well. You'll have to forgive the appearance of very 80s hair. That is little teeny tiny Charlotte with her parents' red Fiesta from back in the day.
Your hair in that picture almost matches the colour of the car.
It's the sunlight, nothing to do with it.
Right, I think we're going to have to move on and get the weather forecast. Hey, why not send us your pictures of your old cars? Anyway, we're going to go. Here's Des.
Making the most of it, whatever the weather. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Central Weather.
Hi, great to see you. You can tell by the backdrop that over the course of tonight we are expecting clear skies. You'll be able to see the stars. This picture is being sent in by Deborah from Stratford upon Avon, famous for William Shakespeare, the bard, of course, and one of his famous lines, "Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?" And if this day were thee, then yes, you could, because we saw plenty in the way of sunshine. Now, fortunately, we do have high pressure that is the dominating feature of our weather, and it's acting like a blocking high. There are a number of fronts moving in from across the Atlantic, trying to give us some grey skies and cloud, but fortunately they are disintegrating as they bump up towards that high, especially this one here on Wednesday that is going to give us a fair amount of rain towards Wales, actually. By the time it gets to us, I think there'll hardly be anything on it. Ultimately, though, I think we see these low pressure systems winning out by the time we get towards the end of the week. That's where we're expecting our weather to become a little bit more unsettled. Now, heading into the overnight story, we do have dry air from France, from Holland, from Belgium, breaking up the clouds, and that's what keeps the skies clear. Hence, your screen's turning blue, widespread frost, temperatures dipping down to around -2 over the course of tonight. It is a dry night, of course, but it does mean we keep those clear skies as we wake up tomorrow morning. What a beautiful look towards the day. You look towards the heavens, lots in the way of sunshine, but then we see another front trying to move in, introducing some cloud and some outbreaks of rain towards the end of the day. Something you'll notice about tomorrow as well, it's a breezy day, gusts around 35 miles an hour, and temperatures climbing to around 11 degrees. I'm going to leave you, as you can see, with the summary.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Central Weather.
This is a nice one, just before we go. The Worcestershire family home of British writer Rudyard Kipling is on sale at a starting price of £285,000 after falling into, shall we say, disrepair.
The Grade 2 listed building in Bewdley has 5 double bedrooms, 2 reception rooms, a large cellar and even a veranda from the kitchen overlooking the large country garden. The house, which is going under the hammer at auction, still features remnants of the Georgian and Victorian eras. The bidding closes at 2 o'clock on Thursday. It does look like a lovely big house, doesn't it? I wonder if he wrote any of his famous poems there.
Oh, yeah, or The Jungle Book. I don't know where he wrote that. But
No, I think it does have a blue plaque on it, though, looking at it, doesn't it?
Do you get that as well for your £285,000?
as a spare home, yeah.
Seems a bargain.
Inspire.
Of course, that's the bidding price. I mean, it could go up far more. Hopefully we'll find out what it was and we'll let you know what it sold for. The ITV Evening News is up next, the new extended, the long one. Hope you enjoy that. We'll watch it too. And we're back with the late news at 10:30. From all of us here, for now, have a good evening.
Bye-bye.